right, let's see what we can do here. Can we hit buttons and make it work? Yes, there's buttons, and we made it work. John, hear you there? It's a Thursday. Thursday thoughts all over the place, and yes, I'm trying to fix my hair. It's kind of packed. It's the hour 2 is our standard hour number 2 because our buddies Nino and Niko are going to join us coming up in a little bit, and they will discuss everything going on around the world in an hour. With Nino, it's going to be whatever's on his mind, pretty much from Europe to the end of the transfer window to South America to all points in between. And you know that he's always going to have something that is going to be completely and totally off the rails when it comes to what's on his mind and what we need to pay attention to around the planet. Then Niko Moreno is going to join us, and hopefully this week, there is no birthday party. I don't think there's a birthday party that's going to surprise him, much like it did last week. But his son turned 18, I want to say. And as it turned out, it ended up with a surprise birthday party for his son. So we'll find out about that. And we'll find out what's on his mind as Seattle is wrapping up their tour of Europe and all points in between. And we'll get his thoughts on all the transfers going on, all the sales going on inside Major League Soccer. It looks like Christian Ramirez might be heading to LAG to take over the Dejan Joveljic spot. And so it continues to add to the intrigue in Columbus. So with what's going on in Columbus, no CRAM, no Cucho. And we will be discussing coming up after opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. The other team in the state of Ohio and what's going on there. We are going to have Laurel Phaler coming on Tuesday morning to discuss everything. We figured we'd let the situation breathe a little bit between now and then. And exactly, Ricky quoting, yeah, Ricky going all Paul Feinbaum on us this morning. So, yeah. Ricky, Columbus ain't got no striker, Paul. That's true. So we're going to find out what's going on. We're going to keep an eye on what's going on there in Columbus, and we'll see what happened there with Atlanta and all the other things. So Major League Soccer, what's on Niko Moreno's mind coming up at 10:30, 10:35ish for the last half hour of the show. We'll get everything from a Pacific perspective, work our way east. So we'll discuss Columbus, we'll discuss Cincy, we'll discuss Los Angeles, we'll discuss maybe a little hot seat because of Emilio wondering if it was too soon to discuss hot seats, and we kind of glossed over it yesterday. Maybe a couple of places, maybe Portland, maybe LAG if Greg Vanney doesn't get the transactions correct, and maybe Cincinnati. So we might talk a little hot seat too. But yeah, Columbus ain't got no striker, Paul. Kalibi Jure wants to know what happened yesterday in Orlando, and I'm trying to see if anything was posted about it, and we can find out. Let me see. Let me go to the Atlanta United website. Let me see if Atlanta United did anything yesterday. But behind closed doors is traditionally behind closed doors, so we will see if there was anything behind closed doors that did not happen outside of behind closed doors. But it looks like it was behind closed doors. So no official releases or anything. And behind closed doors was behind closed doors. So we'll keep an eye on that. One of 3 that is there. And so we'll keep an eye on all of that involving Atlanta United. So behind closed doors is behind closed doors. Ronnie Dylett's kind of working on things. And so we'll see. We'll see what's going to continue there with Ronnie Dyle and Atlanta United. Let's see. So I'm trying to multitask here. So hang on just a second. All right. So whatever's on your mind here on Thursdays, and okay. So Ricky says all we know is Orlando scored a goal, and that was put out by them. So there we go. So we know Orlando scored. And so that's where we are. All right. So this morning in hour number 1, we're going to talk CONCACAF. We're going to talk Open Cup, and we're going to talk the Lament of Lucho Acosta. And kind of as a tease somewhat for our visit by Laurel Phaler on Tuesday at 9. So we will have everything laid out by then. when it comes to the saga of Lucho Acosta. The saga of Lucho Acosta. I feel like that should be like a country song. The Lucho Acosta. Okay, then Ricky's got an update on Scars and Spikes. They said that finished 1-1. So SNS had it as 1-1. That they had heard. They said they heard it finished 1-1. Okay, so SNS said they heard it finished 1-1. So a goal on each side. So the ballad of Lucho Acosta. We'll get to that in a second. Opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. And what you do with that you start your day with Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. And what you can do when you get all kickoff coffeeed up, we recommend that you buy out the store if your finances can handle it. But even if your finances can't handle it, you can handle it at a 15% discount, because when you check out, you can use the code SoccerDownHere15. Use that code, get you in and out the door, 15% off. So that way you have 15% saved and left in your wallet after buying out the entire store. Go to Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. They in turn take 10%, reinvest it in the youth games, youth initiatives from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Okay. I don't know about you, but when I get up every morning, I take like 98 pills. Like multivitamins and things like that. Mostly it's preventative stuff. I would probably say that 3/4 of the things I take are preventative. And it is everything from fiber to multivitamin to, turmeric to things that, are supposed to keep my joints working. And it ends up being like a boatload of things. And so I literally have to take like an extra 5 or 10 minutes to sit there and just budget out the fact that I'm taking all this medication and preventative pills and things. Stuff for, I'm not going to lie. When I had my yearly physical, I am on Crestor. And so I take the Crestor 20. They just went ahead and maxed me out. They're like, dude, just go ahead. We know that your diet is epically bad. So you're on Crestor 20. We're just going to max you out. And by the way, I did get news yesterday that all my blood work came back great, and that my cholesterol is at 162. They say it's supposed to be at like 200. 200 is the number that they freak out about, and apparently it's at 162. So huzzahs and hoorays about how apparently I have survived the last 6 months. But one of the things that I never can get past is that not every pill is coated. COATED, not CODED, but COATED, coated. And not every one that I take is easy to go down. And traditionally, and I don't know if this is something that happens to you when you guys take multivitamins or whatever, when you're taking aspirin and things like that. But when you have a pill or a supplement or whatever you want to call it that isn't coated, that you take, why is it that one is the one that A, is the hardest to go down, B, always ends up disintegrating in while you're trying to swallow it, and C, it's always the one that tastes the worst? Literally. And so I didn't know if I was in the same boat as you guys when it comes to taking your morning medications, pills, etc. I just, it's like the ones that aren't coated, and I have to be, and I have to actually pronounce it that way. The ones that aren't coated seem to be the ones that always taste like ass, are the most difficult to go down. And it's like, you want that one to go down first, and it always ends up getting stuck in a corner, like under your tongue or over on the side of your mouth or anything like that. And for the life of me, I can never figure out a workaround to make sure that goes down first, it doesn't get stuck, and you don't get that really sour or nasty taste in your mouth when you're trying to take it. And I don't know, this might just be a rite of passage of taking pills or what have you, but I have yet to figure out a workaround. I mean, I have to take the pill. That's not a workaround. Not taking it isn't an option. But working around the idea of trying to figure out how to take it, have it not get stuck, and have it not have that sour taste in your mouth, that always seems to be the problem. and I think Will and I are on the same page here, where some of them are just foul. And Emilio, to your point, one of the coated medications that I take is turmeric, and it is I don't have to worry about the powder. No, well, and how big? This particular, there's one pill in particular, Emilio. Literally, it is like, if you're watching, it literally is like, if you were to take the tip of your index finger and maybe 3/4 of the tip of your index finger, I'm thinking. Yeah, literally, it's not the full width of a finger, like at the tip. It might be, there's an old Latin proverb, parvus sed potens, small but powerful. So it might be 3/4 of the tip of a finger wide, long. That's what I'm talking about. Literally, the ones that are the smallest, that aren't coated, are the ones that taste the worst, and you can never get rid of them. And I've yet to figure out how to work around that to make that happen. So that's, like I said, literally, that is just something that I didn't know if I was alone in this. I didn't know if I was just picking the wrong medications to take, even though I have to take them anyway. I say that kind of rhetorically. But you're trying to take these things and you're just like, man, this tastes like awful. Well, yeah, Alex, I mean, when I was in high school, sidebar. When I was in high school, you raised funds for the club that you were in. You know, the language class that you took always had a club. And what you could do is you could buy T-shirts. I mean, it's a turmeric's a preventative. I mean, it's like I said, I do that too. So preventative or prescribed medication. That's basically what my life is. You could purchase T-shirts attached to your club, and it would help fund the club and do things, like end of the year party and that kind of stuff. And you'd buy T-shirts. When I was in high school, I took 2 years of Latin. And I was in Latin club both years. And by the second year, I was taking Latin, and I was kind of over it. But it did help me with my vocabulary and taking SATs, and it did help me get 2 4-credit A's in college. And if I decided to take the third semester, I could have gotten a BA instead of a BS. Insert your joke here. But you could get T-shirts, and one of them, you could get the SPQR, Senatus Populusque Romano, Senate and People of Rome. You could get that. There were another couple of phrases, but one of the other phrases that was on the T-shirts in high school was parvus sed potens, small but powerful. And so that was where that particular note came from. Parvus sed potens. And so, Alex, there's absolutely nothing wrong with small power. Absolutely nothing wrong with small power. Parvus sed potens, small but powerful. And that was one of the T-shirts you could get in Latin club. And that's why I've always remembered that particular phrase, among other Latin phrases that people sit there and look at me like, dude, what language are you talking? And I go, it's a dead language. But it's not really dead because it's in pretty much every word that we speak. But anyway, so yeah, the opening kickoff has gone from me talking about pills and all those kinds of things to Latin. But that's what opening kickoff is all about, while we all get settled and figure out what's going on here. Alex doesn't have any daily RXs, just takes vitamin D. I take a multi. Because I'm supposed to, and I take turmeric just because. And ropes. Ooh. Nihil timorus, no fear. I like that. Nihil timorus, no fear. And so I'm right there with you. And so that's opening kickoff. Going from Latin class and Latin and small power and Latin phrases to pills and taking them and getting them stuck and having them taste horribly. And you get that taste in your mouth that doesn't go away. And so that's why you have to have rather large cups of soda to help wash it out. But anyway, that's what opening kickoff's all about. Just whatever pops into my head. And hopefully I can have a commiserative moment when it comes to these kinds of things. So I'm glad that we got to commiserate and that I'm not barking down the wrong tree about these kinds of things. So I just wanted to make sure that on mornings like this, that I'm not alone. And that's kind of where I am with opening kickoff most of the time. It's just something that, cocks your head sideways a little bit, raises to people's eyebrow, and you're wondering, am I alone in this? Most of the time I am, and I thank you for putting up with my forbearance when it comes to those kinds of things. But this morning it was just something that stuck in my head. So that's opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. And what you can do is go to Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. I've yet to figure out how to transfer the QR code over to have it go right in front of my face. But use the code soccer down here at 15 at checkout. And what you can do is use your codes, buy out the store, buy it out at a 15% save rate, and then help out our friends with Kickoff Coffee. Just ask our friend Melissa Ortiz about those kinds of things. All right. So once again, rundown this morning, the Lament of Lucho Acosta, CONCACAF results from last night, Open Cup matchups, and we are tomorrow morning, by the way. We're going to catch up with our buddy Scott Wells up at Gardner Webb because there's a couple of different reasons, and Scott's going to bat leadoff. He's going to be right on at 9:05. First and foremost, we need to catch up with our friends in North Carolina just as a base and find out how things are and how the season went and what's going on. And Scott also is the proud owner of a contract extension up at Gardner Webb. And I need to ask Scott where I can get Gardner Webb gear because I can't quite get to the bookstore. I haven't quite been able to find the bookstore yet on campus. And so I got to figure out how to buy Gardner Webb soccer gear. Second, he got a contract extension. So we need to find out, A, how they're doing. B, do they need anything? C, he got a contract extension. And D, as the head coach of Asheville City, they got an Open Cup bid. And so we'll talk to him. We'll set your matchups up in round number one. But Asheville City, right over my right shoulder. There we go. There. Asheville City Soccer Club right here. Asheville City. They got a bid in the Open Cup. And so we're going to go over the Open Cup matchups. And we'll let you see who's in, who's out, and what's chasing. But Scott Wells, head coach at Gardner Webb, head coach of Asheville City, he's going to join us at 9:05. We'll see if we can catch up with our friends from Beyond Goals Mentoring, and then the Friday Free for All in hour number 2 as we get ready for the rest of the weekend in Atlanta. So, and in the world of soccer, go through all the juice boxes. Remember, it's an FA Cup weekend. It is the second semifinal in the Gummy Bear Cup today. We'll go over the juice boxes and that. We'll have all those things laid out for you coming up in short order. Okay. Ballad of Lucho Acosta, the lament of Lucho. And we will say hi to everybody before we get into hour number 2. The lament of Lucho Acosta. And there was a picture that came out yesterday, and this is where our friend Laurel Failer comes into play. And so there was a picture. There was a picture that came out. And Laurel had a how do we phrase this? She had an article up after a picture that was up, and Lucho seems to be working out on his own, and he doesn't seem to be all happy about it. So he gave an exclusive statement to Laurel. And by the way, like I said, Laurel's going to join us 9:30 Tuesday morning. Lucho said in an exclusive statement shared with Laurel, he feels as if FC Cincinnati manager Chris Albright is pushing him out and has created an untenable work environment. Untenable work environment. Because if you saw Lucho, if you follow Lucho on the gram or the IG or the Insta, he was like in a room by himself, and there were like a couple of walking machines behind him, and that's it. I mean, he's just kind of like he's in a room by himself. And sources confirmed to Laurel that FC Cincinnati have come to an agreement with Estudiantes regarding a transfer fee. However, and let me try something here. I got to download a bunch of stuff yesterday from the old rundown. And I want to see if in fact it works. So let me see if it works. One more time. Let me see if it works. Hang on. However, now they haven't quite agreed to personal terms. He has not agreed to terms of a contract that would return him to his home country. Played with Estudiantes on loan from his boyhood club Boca Juniors in 2015. Made public in a November interview his frustrations, wanted to leave for a new challenge, kept the reasons vague, joined and is on contract through 26. Unclear whether a move to Estudiantes will get over the finish line. He opened up about his concerns to Laurel. Quote, if my move, and Ropes, yes, she was. Quote, if my move out of FC Cincinnati occurs, It's all because of Chris. All because of Chris. Basically, expanding it out. If I move out of FC Cincinnati occurs, it is all because of General Manager Chris Albright. Quote: "My frustration after the last game of the season was all because my issues with Chris that had evolved to a point that the locker room became too small for the two of us. Now I just have this vision of Chris Albright at one end of TQL and Lucho Acosta at the other, or both of them actually at the 50, back to back, and they get to take 10 paces and they have to go this way, maybe to the edge of the center circle. I think that's where we are. You got you a face off at noon, Pilgrim. Lucho and Chris Albright. Back to back at the center circle, center spot, 10 paces that way. Turn, fire. They get to shoot soccer balls at each other. Somebody Panenkes, you try to, it's almost like dodgeball, something like that. The locker room became too small for the two of us. I feel like I should say that in like a John Wayne voice or something. I'm very thankful for Carl and Jeff, meaning Carl Linder and Jeff Birding, for providing me a lifetime opportunity to be the league MVP. Proud to be a part of a project that elevated FCC's name to be a respected powerhouse in the league. My frustration with Chris started at the end of the 23 season, where we were close to making the finals. And instead of maintaining the team core, his lack of experience dealing with the players pushed away key players such as Alvaro Barreal, who's now back at Santos, Junior Moreno, and Santi Arias. This season, we're having the same issues again, where a lack of leadership from the GM pushed away Yamil, Yuya, Luca, and even bringing back Alvaro so we could have a team that would fight to bring the championship to Cincinnati. My biggest frustration is because I want to win the championship so bad, but we need continuity with all the players on the roster for the following season. I'm trying my best to stay around. I'm going to read the rest of the statement, and then we'll go through it. I'm trying my best to stay around, but I can't be working under someone who doesn't even have the courtesy to respond to my text messages. My goal was always to stay in Cincinnati until my contract ends. Since he's the place I planned on retiring, is the city where my kids have their friends and I love the fans. This is not a farewell note, but an open heart statement to all fans and owners about my recent situation that's becoming increasingly unbearable with Chris, who is forcing my way out through the back door. Albright did not respond to a message seeking comment from Laurel, but FC Cincinnati provided the following statement when provided a chance to respond. Quote, FC Cincinnati, and I feel like I should read this in some kind of official tone. FC Cincinnati's emergence as a winning team in Major League Soccer has been fueled by many factors, including, most importantly, the leadership of GM Chris Albright. Chris and his team have assembled top talent, building out a first-class roster to contend for trophies and elevate Cincinnati on the global stage. This strategy, led by Chris, has resulted in FCC earning the second most points in Major League Soccer over the last 3 years while navigating salary cap restrictions to secure high-performing players. Club ownership, Carl, Jeff, and Chris are all aligned on the vision and strategy as the club competes for trophies in 2025, end quote. Period, end quote. Third DP under Albright's watch, article continues. 30-year-old Acosta is the third DP to seek a move elsewhere. Brenner Souza da Silva left on bad terms with a transfer to Udinese in the summer of 2023. Aaron Bupenza stopped showing up to team activities last summer and had his contract terminated. Acosta delayed reporting for preseason as he sorted through his situation with the club and what would be best for his family. Arrived 10 days late to Cincinnati, where he completed medicals, reported to Clearwater 2 days later. Been training off to the side ever since, per the club's decision, as Coach Pat Noonan confirmed in a Zoom press conference on Thursday. Two other players also did not report to preseason on time. Luca Orojano showed up 5 days late because of a contract dispute, which still lingers, despite him being in training with the team. And Yakubo only arrived Monday. Kubo and his representation could not be reached for comment. FCC scheduled to play their first match in 2 weeks. Brenner, who played for the club in 21 through May of 23, shared in an interview back in July of 23 that he also did not have a good relationship with Albright, but acknowledged players and front office personnel don't always see eye to eye. Albright shared at the time that sometimes he has to be the bad guy. You got to be the bad guy. Quoting our buddy Razor Ramon. And then Laurel continues with the quotes from Albright from 2023 involving Brenner specifically. Acosta, 151 matches, all comps. 10 plus 17 and 22. Named league MVP, 17 and 14 and 23. 14 and 19. Didn't start for 7 straight games because of foot injuries and personal issues last year. Reported to preseason with the intent to play and live up to his contract, though, as long as it is in place. 3-time MLS Best 11, All-Star. And so they are working on their first match in the Triple C, the CONCACAF Hemispheric Extravaganza, where they take on Motagua on February 19th. Other MLS clubs had also expressed interest in acquiring Acosta through the new cash trade initiative, allowing players to be sold. That mechanism could instead be put to use to find a replacement for Acosta. FCC's already actively pursuing targets that could come in quickly. I'm thinking that they might be checking out Evander and kicking the tires on that. But anyway, okay. So now, yes, Albright and Noonan did come, Emilio, from the Philadelphia organization. So basically, and when they came in, everybody was like, yeah, this was like kind of Philly light. So let's go back over what Acosta said. Reading the statement is one thing, and as always, you know that a player is going to say one thing, a front office is going to say one thing, and probably the truth is somewhere in the middle. But when your player is training off to the side and all he has is the workout machines behind him, and he's posting these kinds of things on Insta, the Gram, or the IG, or all three, things may not be going well. So, Lucho, my move out of Cincinnati occurs, it's because of Albright. Frustration because all my issues with Chris evolved to a point the locker room became too small for the two of us. 10 paces and you fire soccer balls at each other. That's where this sounds right now. And obviously, if you are FC Cincinnati and you are Pat Noonan, you're not going to risk any kind of injury with your star player if you are trying to move him on to Estudiantes for the next stage of his career. So while Lucho is posting pictures of the treadmills behind him, and that was the word I was trying to come up with for the first half hour of the show, was treadmill. Lucho and treadmills. The treadmills seem to be his best friends right now. If you're Pat Noonan, you're not going to sit there and you're not going to risk an injury. So the picture of Lucho and treadmills, maybe something outdoors, but maybe he should have just taken a picture outdoors with the sun shining behind him or something. I don't know. But then he probably would have gotten busted for having his phone out on the practice field. So he takes a picture inside with him at treadmills and being disappointed with the people's eyebrow. Locker room became too small for the two of us. Pilgrim mentions Lindner and Birding, the folks above him upstairs, the owners, parts of the ownership group. Frustration started at the end of the 23 season, pushing away key players, Barreal, Moreno, Arias. This year, Yamil Assad, we saw on his social media that his contract was not going to be renewed. It was a one-year deal, to be fair. Brought him in on a 1, and it was just up to the club to renew it, and they didn't, and so Yamil is currently a free agent. Kubo, Orejano, and Acosta, to me, are obviously the more important ones here. And when you look at all of what is going on in Cincinnati, Kubo's pissed he comes in late. Orejano is pissed he comes in late. Earlier, but still late. Kubo just came in on Monday, according to Laurel. Lucho is there. He's pissed. And he's hanging out with treadmills, who seem to be his new best friends. And you continue to see, as it was mentioned by Laurel in the piece, Brenner Souza da Silva, Brenner and Aaron Bupenza, other high-powered players who either didn't want to be there, didn't show up, and had their contracts terminated, or got moved on in transfers. This is not the first time that this has happened with high-profile players in Cincinnati. So, what is it? Once is a happening, twice is a trend. I don't know what 3, 4, and 5 would be, but right now, It is, and this is where Cincinnati's dealing in bulk numbers this year specifically going in. And this was why when we have Niko on it in the last half hour of the show, like we always do, I wanted to go over the situation with him about Cincinnati and where he thinks they stand because of all of the questions. Obviously, they are a different club in the pecking order in writing things down on paper in the Eastern Conference if they're all there. If you've got Kubo, if you've got Orejano, if you've got Acosta, if you've got dudes that are just mad and they're going to be like, well, we'll show you, get out of my way. We're gonna work here. We're here to work. Just back up. Or they really don't want to be there. They're just kind of going through the motions, and they're trying to stay in shape because they obviously have to show to whomever would be interested that they are in shape, they are participating, and they're not just kind of lollygagging. But this year, in years past, it's been Brenner, it's been Bupenza. This year, you're talking about 3 dudes, and they're 3 of your more high-powered dudes in name and in activity there at FC Cincinnati. Orejano, Acosta, Kubo. If you have this much discontent, one I can get. One dude I understand. 2 dudes, okay. Cock your head, raise people's eyebrow. 3, you're like, whoa, okay. Kubo, Orejano, Acosta. 3 of your big guns in name and activity. Just ask Jared about Yuya Kubo. If Jarrett could be a GM in Major League Soccer, he would have Yuya Kubo here in Atlanta like tomorrow. For Jarrett Smith FC, Yuya Kubo would be one of his. He would bring in Furuhashi-san. He would try, or Daisen Maeda, or anybody from Celtic that he could get his hands on. And then he would have Yuya Kubo as part of it too. But when you've got 3 of your big dudes who don't want to come and hang out and don't seem to be all that enthusiastic about hanging around, like I said, it can go one of 2 ways. It can be one of those, well, you fluff your jersey, you sit there and go, well, I'll show you. Or you'd be like Bupenza and you're just kind of like, well, I'm not really there. No, I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling it this morning. So that's kind of where we are with Cincinnati. And like I said, it'll be great to have. Let me write this down so I don't forget. Laurel Failer, 9:30 Tuesday. Because knowing me, I've got to write it down more than once. And this is the other thing. All right. I'm back to opening kickoff before we get into CONCACAF and Open Cup, before we end hour number 1 and I get to say hi to everybody. Okay. I will readily admit that the Sharpie pen is one of the best, and you are right, Ricky. Yamil did end up going back to Brazil. The Sharpie pen is one of the best pens out there. I will not deny this. I can write upside down with a Sharpie pen. But you notice something is missing from the Sharpie pen as I hold it up here for those watching on the camera. You see what's going on? I have the tip, but I don't have the cover. Sharpie, you need to work on this, and I probably will reach out to them on social media. Every single Sharpie pen I have ever bought that has the fine point, you take the top, you put it on the back, it never stays. So literally, I'm writing with what I think is going to be a full pen with a top that's going to stay attached, and it never does. It flies across the room, and I can never find it. Sharpie, you need to work on this. You need to work on how to fasten your tops to the back of the pen so they stay available. And as a matter of fact, I think after the show, I will reach out to Sharpie on the 280 character app, and I will remind them about this. The one fealty of their pens, these are genius ideas, except for the cover. It never stays. That's my vent for the morning. It's the pen. Abby, it's the pen. The markers are fine because, as an example, here's the marker. The marker has the fine point, or you can go a bunch of different ways. You can go thick, you can go with the thick, or you can go with the thin. I like the thin just because I end up writing with them anyway. So, Sharpie marker, fine point. Watch. Hey, look at that. It sticks. It stays right there. I can take the top, put it back on the top. Everything is fine. I want to use this, peel it off, fasten it, it stays. The pen is not mightier than the marker. As you see here, for the 900th Sharpie pen in a row, top does not stay. Sharpie, we need to work on this. I don't know if I could do the clicky. Ropes with a suggestion about using the clicky. And I have to find the top to this particular pen because when I used it yesterday and swung it around, it ended up on the floor, and I don't know if it's under the rowdy man, under the desk, or under the sofa. And it just fell on the floor because it rolled off the notebook. Hang on. There we go. Okay. This is what I'm dealing with the Sharpie pen, Sharpie. Issue must be fixed and considered. Oh, geez. Anyway, Cincinnati. When you got one dude that's mad, you get it. And when you get three dudes that are mad going into a season, But as I always say, once again, the fact that Laurel, who does great work, she got a prepared statement from Lucho. Lucho says one thing, Albright says another. It's dated back. FC Cincinnati says another. Once again, truth's probably somewhere in the middle. But when you got three dudes who are pissed and your expectations are high coming into the 25 season, we'll keep an eye on it. Like I said, Laurel will join us Tuesday at 9:30. And I would recommend, full disclosure, I am a Patreon supporter for her at Queen City Press. That's how I get to keep up with everything going on with SC Cincinnati. And when Laurel has been following all of this stuff, and she got the catch up with Lucho in a prepared statement, like I said, prepared statements are how you want to say things in a particular environment anyway. And then Cincinnati's going to say one thing. Yes, Lucho's going to say another. Like I said, truth's in the middle. But when you have Lucho Acosta say, the locker room became too small for the two of us. Literally, it sounds like one of those old Westerns. This town ain't big enough for the two of us. Locker room became too small for the two of us, according to Lucho Acosta. Soccer balls at dawn. I think that's what we're getting into. Derek, you're right. It is pen rage down here. I don't think I'm asking for a whole lot. I don't think I am. I really don't think I am. I just want my pen to work, and I want it to work well. The pen works well. The maintenance does not. Marker, yes. Pen, no. Issue. Maybe we could be a beta. We could be a beta for Sharpie here at SDH AM. They send us a bunch of pens with a bunch of fasteners. Hey, does this work? Let's find out. But yeah, we'll get into this with Sharpie when the show is over this morning. We definitely will do that. Okay. All right. Morning, Ricky. Morning, Kalibi. And Kalibi, I think this is the first time that you've popped in. Thanks for popping in. Don't be a stranger. Ricky, Will, Pars. Like I said, Pars, I think, is living high on the hog right now with his newly fanned Aston Villa. Morning, Ropes. Morning, Emilio. Like I said, morning, Will. Morning, Alex. Let's see. Morning, Abby. Much nicer temperatures in Marietta this morning. Hola, Lautaro Poo. Good morning. Glad you're here. Hola, Lautaro. And bad news for the other Lautaro Martinez, injured in play last time out for Manchester United. Might be out for a while. That scream you heard was our Drew Dickinson. And yes, Ropes, Laurel was the one who FC Cincinnati didn't like. And so she ended up hanging on her own shingle. And good for her for it. I mean, she's a mom, and she loves what she does, and she's hanging out her own shingle. And we will always support those kinds of things. Yeah, FC Cincinnati was not fond of what she was reporting and how she was getting the information. So there was stuff involving access and credentials. And so, yeah, she went out and she's starting to hang her own shingle. She's doing great work. Michael's so glad he was in St. Louis to experience the however moment in person. Absolutely true. Let's see. Will was there for St. Louis and Sporting, and there was something. Yeah, and Energizer Park, very, very cool. Abby with the public service announcement this morning. Don't forget to join SDH on the Chant app. You can be a fanatico. This is another part of the opening stuff that we need to get into. $10 a month to be a fanatico here at SDH. Get you discounts from all around as you go on the Chant app, sign up there, sign up to SDH, and you can be front and center to a bunch of discounts, a bunch of different places, and we get to continue to grow the game with this now with Chant. Also, in addition to Chant, you saw with Morning Espresso that it was announced yesterday that SDH now has a relationship with and a partnership with Oglethorpe University. So it's we've covered a lot of their things. The Ben Alrum documentary, if you haven't had the chance, the Ben Alrum feature, if you haven't had the chance to catch it, I would recommend it. Great work by Maddie and Sonia and Sophia and everybody there on that side, the Soccer Stories unit. So catch the Ben Alrum story. It's on our social media platforms. Go check it out on YouTube, etc. But Oglethorpe University, now a partner here at SDH. They're sponsoring Morning Espresso. They're sponsoring Player of the Game when it comes to our high school activity, which starts on Tuesday with games at Decatur High School, North Atlanta and Decatur, the doubleheader. That's going to be our first game of the high school season. Then we get you right into Creek Cup Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, all on SDH and SDH2. So, Chant, SDH, Fanaticos. You get to get some discounts around town, and you get to help grow the game. So, go to Chant, go to the Chant app, go to the SDH section, and you can be a part of it there. Go to Olive and York, and you can pick up the first ever jersey. And what you can do is pick up the first ever SDH jersey. You got to see Greg Garza modeling it, Maddie Cruz, Sophia Cupertino, the 247, which I thought was really interesting with the personalization. And you can get it personalized, navy jersey, white letters and numbers, or the light blue letters and numbers. Go to Olive and York, and you get to help out the charities that and the causes that we've earmarked here in 2025. Don't forget that our friends at the Marshall Islands, you can help them out continue to grow. I just sent out a scarf to Canton yesterday, not Ohio, Georgia, literally up there in Cherokee County. I sent a Marshall Islands scarf to Cherokee County yesterday. They went and did it the long way. They got it from the Marshall Islands store, including the scarf. They got the jersey. They got the jersey for one of the younger players in their family, and I think they got a bucket hat. They got a scarf. So literally ordering to England to get Marshall Islands gear, and I ship a scarf from here to Canton, Georgia. So you can help out the Marshall Islands as they continue to grow the game there in the Marshall Islands through futsal. The 2030 No Home jersey is now out. Trust me, we bought all the gear. But you can help them out as well and be a part of the growth of the Marshall Islands project. And you can go to our friends at Grady Baby and Grady Baby Co. And you can get the Soccer is Just Better in Atlanta. You can get the T-shirt or the sweatshirt. It's really comfortable, really cool sweatshirt. I would wear it and the black one all the time if I could. But then you kind of look at me weird and go, don't you have any other clothing? Grady Baby Co. If you purchase the T-shirts and the sweatshirts, part of the proceeds from that go and help out middle school soccer programs attached to Atlanta Public Schools. So it's Olive and York, Grady Baby and Grady Baby Co., Chant for SDH, and you also get a newsletter out of the deal too, with Oglethorpe wanting the newsletter component. So Morning Espresso is now audio, video, newsletter. So that's part of Morning Espresso and our relationship with Oglethorpe University. So Olive and York, Marshall Islands, Grady Baby Co., soccerdownhere.net. You can get some of the gear that's out already. And I know that we need to do the Left Back U t-shirt to add to it. And all of the things that are there involving Grady Baby and all of our other friends here at SDH. And thanks to all of you guys for being a part of it. Couldn't do it without our friends at Kaiser Permanente, Beyond Goals, Scott Flood and the Flood Project for running around and orchestrating things like what we did at Birmingham at Monday Night Social Club. There will be an event, I think, in Charlotte. I'll keep you posted on that going forward. So a lot of things going on here at SDH, and we can't thank you guys enough for being a part of it. All right. 10 minutes to go before the top of the hour. Let's see. Morning, Ricky. Let's see. Morning, Ricky. Morning, Abby. Abby made a bakery run. Not jealous or nothing. And yes, Derek, it is going to continue to be pen rage down here. Alex, there's no logic here. It just said I bought 900 pens and I keep losing the top. Reason doesn't stay on is right there in front of you. Yeah, it's me. I know. So I keep losing the pens. They stay up. I mean, the pens stay pen-like for a long time. I mean, I'm it's almost like a test of, like when we were younger, and it's like, you need an oil change, but you want to sit there, or you know that you're running on empty or close to it, and you want to see how far the car can go either without needing an oil change or getting an oil change, or if you can get it right to E before you get it to the gas station. That's kind of how I am with these pens. I'm trying to figure out how long that they continue to write when they don't have the top. That's where I am right now. Yeah, Ricky, the whole state of Ohio might be down bad. Exactly, Ropes, a failure to communicate. And Derek, thank you for agreeing with me about being reasonable. See, but Abby's like, take a piece of tape, wrap it around, make it thicker, and see if it stays on top then. I mean, I could, but then that's more work for me. We know that this is all about me, and the least amount of work possible is best. Least amount of work possible is best here. Me. It's all about me. We know this. It's all about me. So for me to do more work, it's counterproductive. I need to do this like, you need to work immediately. I have a certain expectation level when it comes to the tools of the trade. I have an expectation level. I expect my computer to turn on. Takes a little while because of all the different inputs, but I expect to be able to come on and hang out with you guys at 9:05, which means I expect my computer to work. I would like to have my internet to work every day. 2:30 in the afternoon, they seem to take it down for regular maintenance, but that's not me. I have HDMI cords and I have things that, I subscribe to. I turn to my left and look at the big 55, and I'd like to see what's going on in the world every day. I hit an on button and the TV comes on. I have a certain level of an expectation every day. I want the big 55 to turn on. I want our glance LED to turn on so we can find out what's going on in the world. And the glance LED, by the way, I think I short sold it. I should have gotten a bigger one. Should have gotten a bigger glance LED, but I wouldn't know where to hang it because that's where we are right now. So I have a certain expectation level every day. When I turn something on, I expect it to work. When I take the cover off of a pen, even though this is the marker, I'd like for the top to stay so I don't have to go chasing it because that's time, labor lost. I don't think I'm asking for much. Pen rage down here, hour number 2. So like it is $10 a year. It is $10 a year, Abby. You are correct for the chant bit. Morning, David. It is $10 a year. So go ahead and go chant. $10 a year. I don't know what I was saying with my numbers and all this kind of stuff, but yeah, for chant, being a fanatico, $10 a year. That is absolutely true. $10 a year. So I don't know what I was saying for a number, but yeah, go to chant, go to SDH, become a fanatico, $10 a year. It's on all of our social media stuff, and you can take a peek at the lovely things that Jason has designed to explain it better than I do. So that's what's there. Anyway, morning. Yes, Big Sharpie has you exactly where it wants you. But the thing is, Big Sharpie, and I have a Big Sharpie. Actually, hang on just a second. All right, so I'm going into my, just as an example. All right, so found it. All right. Found it. All right. Now, $10 a month. No, not $10 a month, $10 a year. This is Big Sharpie. Big Sharpie for me, you can't write with this. You can highlight and you can black out with it, but you can't write with it. The Big Sharpie doesn't have the point. And the top stays. Top stays on Big Sharpie. but Big Sharpie can't write. So Big Sharpie can't write. And there you go. So Big Sharpie can't write, but it keeps the top. Little Sharpie can write if you choose the fine point, and the back and the top stays. Sharpie pen writes, but doesn't keep the top. This is our issue in hour number 1. Okay, anyway. Matchups came out in Open Cup for round number 1. We'll go through that, and we'll go through quickly what happened in CONCACAF last night. It was a bunch of 2-0 wins, except for Real Esteli, who got the win against Tigres. But Tigres didn't bring a lot of their big firepower with them. It was not Gignac stayed at home. Real Esteli ended up getting the win in Nicaragua, but they've now got to go back to Tigres, and they've got to go back to Monterrey in leg number 2 and hang on. I can't wait to see the juice boxes in that. Anyway, matchups came out in Open Cup, first round schedule. So Real Esteli was the only surprise last night. Tigres came in shorthanded on purpose to save some bodies because they're balancing Liga MX schedule as well. So second leg, back home at Tigres. They'll have Gignac. They'll have a bunch of their firepower. Can Real Esteli hang on? That's the question. First round schedule came out, and like I said, we're going to catch up with Scott Wells, head coach at Asheville City, tomorrow, find out about what's going on with him there and at Gardner-Webb. Tuesday, March 18th is when things kick in round number 1 of the Open Cup, just some teams that are of local interest. The Miami FC takes on Naples United at FIU. Chattanooga Red Wolves travel to New Jersey to take on New Jersey Alliance. Asheville City Greenville Triumph. That one's going to be fun. That one's going to be on the campus of UNC Asheville, and that's on day 1. Texoma, our friends at Texoma are going to be playing at Bearcat Stadium in Sherman, out of the blocks, taking on Fora, the UPSL. Interesting matchup, Tulsa Athletic and FC Tulsa. You know the politics there. That one's going to be fun. Day 2, Wednesday the 19th, Chattanooga Football Club at 6:30 at Fort Finley is going to host Corpus Christi out of USL League 2. Appalachian FC at Ted Mackerel at Boone is going to take on One Knox. That one's going to be fun. Richmond Kickers hosting Virginia Dream at City Stadium in Richmond. Inter Miami 2. So Messi and Friends 2 take on Miami United at Chase at the Erector set. So that one's going to be in day 2. Des Moines Menace and our buddy Lagos Kunga, they're going to be traveling to take on Sporting 2 at the Swope Soccer Village in Kansas City. Lexington is going to be taking on Southern Indiana at Lex SC. Little Rock taking on Birmingham Legion at Episcopal Collegiate School Wildcat Stadium. That's a mouthful. So Birmingham travels to Little Rock in day number 2. El Farolito, our friends out of the NPSL, taking on Real Monarchs in Harriman, Utah. A lot of the Western activity is in day number 2. Ballard and Spokane. That one's also going to be another fun one. That is going to be day number 2. And LAFC 2 taking on FC Arizona. Day 3, March 20. Portland Hearts of Pine. Keep an eye on them in League 1. The LL Bean jersey, oh my God, it's fantastic, but I can't afford it. Charlotte Independence travels to Long Island Rough Riders. Our buddy John Schuster, will probably catch up with him on that day, on match day, as they travel to Forward Madison. So we'll catch up with Shuey and find out what's going on there. South Georgia Tormenta takes on Harbor City FC. If you missed the Aaron Walker 1v1, Aaron has come back to Tormenta to be a player coach this year to help out with Ian Cameron. That 1v1 is up on the network. Tormenta hosting Harbor City. Carolina Core and Soda City. If you are looking, and no offense to Carolina Core and our friends up there, but if you are looking for upset alert, and a lot of it's going to depend on who Soda City can assemble in a situation, you're defending 2-time back-to-back UPSL champions. Soda City goes to Carolina Core. Your UPSL champs in Carolina Core in round 1. If you're looking cup set, I don't know how much of a cup set this would be, but this might be a cup set for you and me. Let's see. Union Omaha travels to Golden, Colorado. Tacoma Defiance takes on Washington Athletic Club. So that's what you're looking at in round number 1. The 3-day extravaganza for the 2025 U.S. Open Cup first round schedule is out. Like I said, we'll catch up with Scott Wells, the head coach of Asheville City and Gardner-Webb. Tomorrow morning, out of the blocks, he's going to bat leadoff right at 9:05. I caught him. We're catching him as he gets into his day leading into practice. And so we'll catch up with them. We'll find out how they are and how they're doing. We'll find out if they need anything. Find out if any of his partners and friends up there that are also playing soccer in Western North Carolina need anything. And we'll find out about Open Cup and what it means to Asheville City. So a lot of stuff going on there involving Open Cup. But we'll catch up with our buddy Scott Wells at Gardner Webb tomorrow at 9:05 out of the blocks. He's batting leadoff. And then from there, we'll get into, see if our friends from Beyond Goals Mentoring aren't traveling the planet. I know that Greg is traveling the planet, and he's doing his work with Major League Soccer. If you follow him on the Insta, then you see him posting photos of the Florida coast as he's flying in. So we'll catch up with, we'll see if we can catch up with our friends in Beyond Goals Mentoring at 9:30. And then 10 o'clock is just off the rails, and we'll see what happens as we get you ready for the weekend involving Atlanta United, involving anybody and everybody, and what's going on in and around the world of soccer. So David wants to know, or David wants to think, he doesn't know what's more insane. Morning, Harry. By default, I would think it's Cristiano Ronaldo. David thinks he's not sure what's more insane. My marker talk or CR40's speech from yesterday? Well, look at it this way, David. I didn't refer to myself in third person. I didn't do that. CR40 referred to himself in third person. I honestly, if I ever do that, and you know it, that I do it, that if I normally do something like that, I do it on purpose and it's a work. Thank you, Derek. Ronaldo's far more insane. Thank you. But if I was to do something like that, if I was to sit there and just in normal conversation that is me not, having a work promo, if I'm basically running my mouth and that my tongue is firmly planted in cheek, then it's $1 in the jar and call me out on it for every time I do it, legitimately. If I legitimately refer to myself in third person and it's not a joke, this is my word to you. My word to you. If I do anything like that, call me out on it in the Twitch pitch. I'll comment on it in the Twitch pitch, and it's $1 in the jar. If I ever do anything like, well, John thinks that, no, I don't do that. I don't do that at all. But if I ever do anything like that, if I ever speak in interview normal tone, if I do interview speak, and if I just give you something boilerplate, that's $1 in the jar. Call me out. I think it was like, wow. Abby wants to know how much money was donated last year from the jar. I think it was close to $100. Because mainly it was because of me not wearing my wedding ring outside the studio. We got our buddy Nino Torres coming up here in a second. Yeah, so the handful of times that I did not wear the wedding band as I was leaving the house and left the house, it's $20 in the jar. So I'd probably say it's close to $100, and we found a charity to donate it to. So it's that time. And Nino is coming into this conversation. He doesn't know what the blank I'm talking about. Yellow. What is going on, bud?
Yellow. It's Thursday morning. Fantastic day for everyone. After probably the lowest lineup in birthdays yesterday, man. You got Cristiano Ronaldo, you got Neymar, you got Carlos Tevez, and you got Jason, right? Was it Jason's birthday yesterday?
Jason's was yesterday. That is absolutely true. Absolutely
true. Okay.
Well, and what I do is I try and I always try to get him the same thing that I get him for his birthday. Oh, what's in the smoothie this morning, by the way?
We got strawberries, pineapple, mango.
Okay, that's solid. I can play that. Yeah. What I always try to do is something ceremonial for Jason, and it's the same thing every year if I can find it. I always try to get him a bottle of Fernet Blanca.
Really?
So that way So that way he can have his Fernet. He can have his Fernet and Coke. And so that's what I always try. I try to find it. First off, I try to go to a liquor store, which is something I never do anyway. And I'm trying to think if I'm asking for the right thing. It's like, if I'm asking for, I go up to the window. Hey, I'd like a bottle of Fernet, please. And I swear to God, yesterday I went to the liquor store, freaked the guy out. He's like,
and
what?
The guy was like, what is this? What are you talking about?
Exactly. What am I talking about? And so he went behind, Fernet Branca. And so literally, he's like, oh, yeah, I thought you were talking about something else. He goes, Fernet Blanca? No, Fernet Branca. And so literally he went out, he's like, and he slams it on the counter. He goes, is this what you're looking for? I go, yeah, that's it. He's like, oh, I just understood what you were saying. So literally I'm at the drive-thru for like 5 minutes waiting for the guy to sift through his entire store and try to find this bottle of Fernet for Jason. So that's what I always try to get him for his birthday, because, you only turn, 19 once. So,
right.
So I try to celebrate the best way that I can. So run through the birthdays for me one more time.
It is Cristiano Ronaldo, Neymar, and Carlos Tevez.
Wow.
That's a lineup right there, brother, huh? With Jason on the sidelines there, huh?
Oh, he ain't on those sidelines. Jason's starting, brother. Jason's starting in that lineup. He might be passing the ball a lot, but he's certainly starting in that lineup.
Does he play? Or just you see him play?
He did, but then when he was in high school and pick up from there, he started to have some concussion issues, and so he's become a coach and a counsel and a broadcaster, and so that's why you see him wearing hats and wearing the sunglasses whenever he can, because he still has light sensitivity and things like that. But he used to play, but because of concussions and things like that, it's very light sensitive for him. So, but no, he's damn. I didn't know that was all a part of those birthdays. As is always the case, you come with a list of topics, and it's always. And what I traditionally do is I don't want to see them until you show up. So literally, I ask Nino what's on his mind, and then I log out of WhatsApp. I literally do. And then when you come on, I look at the topics. I look at the topics and I sit there and we go from here. Topic number 1, why Cristiano is not the GOAT. And yesterday I did run some of the quick quotes from his interview that he apparently sets up on his own. It's like, I want to do an interview. So I want to talk first. And that's the first thing that bugs me. I want to set up an interview with a friendly host. I'm going to call for an interview. I think I'm ready to talk. That's what bugs me first and foremost. When you set up your own interview with your own.
Right. No.
And then the second thing is in the interview, and this is what I think you might have heard when you logged in and you were in the green room, about going third person.
Yeah.
It's like Cristiano thinks this. No, bruh. No, that's $1 in the jar. So
No.
he thinks he's the best ever. And I love the fact that when he was in the interview, he's like, I'm not left-footed, dig, but I am top 10 all time in goals scored with my left foot. So if that wasn't a dig at Messi, who has scored 73 less goals in 170 plus matchups, I don't know what is. But you say, and I agree with you, because I'm in Camp Messi. I'm not in Camp CR40. Ronaldo is not the GOAT. Sir, please expound.
Right. First off, I want to start with the positive part here, right? Because I believe that we were fortunate enough to live in the two kings era, right? Because for me, Messi and Cristiano, they were the two kings for 15 years straight. Nobody has ever done that. Nobody, I don't know if we're going to live to see it again, to see for that period of time, to be at the top. Right. Having said that, the crown of the crown for a footballer is a World Cup. It's the World Cup. If you haven't won a World Cup, you're not you're not in the conversation. You're not in the conversation. Period. All right. And as much as I love Messi, and as much as because I love Messi, I think for me, he's just phenomenal, right? 2 Copa Americas and 1 World Cup. But there's this guy right here who speaks Portuguese, who's on the Mount Rushmore of soccer. He's no longer with us anymore. Edson Arantes do Nascimento is the GOAT, no doubt. Just no doubt about it. He's above everyone else in the history of the game. And on top of his 3 World Cups, and on top of his 1,287 goals that he scored, right? On top of all that, I remember this from him because I watched him playing live. But when he turned 50, for his 50th birthday, they put up a show in Milan, and elite players, active players, play with Pelé, and he did not disappoint for 45 minutes. When you do that at 50, playing with the elite players and still rolling, boy, you are the king and the GOAT, and sayonara to everyone else, brother.
Oh, man after my own heart. I love you. I love that because you know full well from all the time that you've spent here on Thursdays that I probably have more Pelé gear that I wear on this show, thanks to our friends at Roots of Fight, than anybody else known to mankind. That big old sweatshirt that I wear, the hooded sweaty that's got Pelé. I've got more Pelé stuff here than anybody else. And thank you. I mean, it's for me like Pelé, Maradona, and Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo. It's like that's the discussion. That's like you and me sitting in a bar somewhere in Columbus or something like that, or here in Atlanta, and we just sit there and we just open it up and go. But no, thank you for agreeing that Ronaldo is not the GOAT. Topic number 2. Neymar, the prince who returned home.
Oh my God! I just that made me so happy, bro. It made me so happy because after signing that another oblivious contract in his life when he went to Saudi Arabia, he got hurt, and now he moved things around. Now he's home. It was so spectacular. They turn off the lights when he entered the pitch. And after the game, he played with Botafogo. Every single player from Botafogo took a picture with Neymar. And you see playing 45 minutes. And everybody's going to watch Brasileirão now, man. I'm telling you, I'm telling you, those broadcasters, those companies, those TV rights, they're banking now. They are banking now with Neymar in the Brasileirão, and I don't know what's the attendance now in for Santos, but they're gonna be sold out all season long. And I will get to see him playing a couple of Libertadores, not this year, next season, not this season, because I mean he's 33 and now. It's a shame that he got injured so much, man.
Yeah,
he got way too many injuries, and
he just fell down again. By the way,
so what again?
He just fell down again. By the way, he just dove.
I know.
He's rolling around on the carpet again, man. It just happened.
That made me that he was rolling around. You saw that one? Remember one? Oh man, that was fantastic. But aside of that, he is for me. He's the prince. He's Cristiano, Messi, the 2 kings, and then Neymar, and then everyone else. That's the podium that I have in soccer for the last 15 years. Mm-hmm. No doubt about it. No one is more talented than Neymar. No one.
When healthy.
Yes.
And when his head's screwed on straight and he doesn't get a convenient injury just in time for Carnival.
Right. He doesn't have to do that now because he's at the Carnival now.
Yes, that is true. Absolutely true.
He's right there.
And you also wanted to bid an adieu to one of the best left backs that's out there today.
My God, Marcelo retiring, man. It's crazy, right? Because when you think about left backs or wing backs, right? You thinking bunny rabbits, or cyborgs, like just running up and down the pitch. But this guy was so grateful. He was so talented. I think, between him and Dennis Bergkamp, the best first touches in soccer that I've seen. The control, man, the control from Marcelo. It was just, like I said, it's him and Bergkamp, and then everyone else in terms of first touch, right? First touch. 5 Champions League, brother. He got 5 Champions League. He didn't get. I don't think he get Copa Libertadores. I don't think. No, he won. Did he? I think he got Copa Libertadores too.
Yeah, I think so.
Copa. I think they did win when Fluminense won. He won. Oh, Jesus, gotta check it out.
Hang on. All right, you and I are chasing. So let's. All right. So keep talking, and I'll chase. How about that?
Yeah, I think he's one of these group of elite players that won Champions League, Copa America, Copa Libertadores. Yeah, and World Cup.
Okay. All right. So
but he's not in the World Cup because he didn't win the World Cup. That I know.
Let's see. Medal record, club domestic appearances and goals.
Gold medal. He won gold medal.
Federations Cup with Brazil, U17 World Cup with runner-up in Peru, and then a silver in London and a bronze in Beijing. So rise to prominence. It's like just
no Copa. I think no Copa Libertadores.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right. So I think that's where we're at. But yeah.
Yeah, he joined Fluminense after they won the Copa Libertadores. So yeah, he's after. But yeah, my boy Marcelo, when he was in Real Madrid, when he was in Real, woo.
Let's see, La Liga champ with Real Madrid 3, 5, 6 times, 2 Copa del Reys, 5 Supercopa de Españas, 5 appearances in Champions League, 3 Super Cups. 4 FIFA Club World Cups, Campeonato Carioca twice with Fluminense, Taca Rio in 05, Libertadores 23 with Fluminense, Recopa Sudamericana 24.
He won.
Yep. Brazil U17's World Cup runner-up in 05, U23 silver medal, bronze medal, Confederations Cup 2013, and then 3, 6, 9, 12, 14 individual awards ranging from his time at the Brasileiro to Team of the Decade in CONMEBOL.
Absolutely, he's in that group with Cafu, Ronaldinho, and Marcelo. I think I'm missing one more, but winning Copa Libertadores and Champions League. Carlitos Tevez, by the way, he won Copa Libertadores and Champions League too.
And so Marcelo, I think he's 36, if my math is right, 36, 37, somewhere in there. All right, so Portugal, and I know that for those of us that have Fanatis, full disclosure, for those of us that can watch Goal TV, full disclosure, and for those of us that can watch a guy named Nino Torres call games in Portugal on Goal TV, which you can get at Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. And you can get the subscription. You can listen to Nino call games and have conversations with everybody on the pitch and let him know what he's thinking. You went Nino Damas on us here in Portugal. So for those that missed Nino Damas poking his head back in and waving the flag, what did Nino Damas do this time?
My prediction for the season, there's 16 more games to go. 16, that's a lot, right? That's a long way to go.
Yeah.
But the repeat is for real with Sporting Club. Sporting Club will win the Liga Portugal back-to-back. And for the first time since San Colin, the league is going to be a repeat in Portugal. Why I'm saying this? Why, Nino?
Why,
Nino? Transfer window is closed.
And you escaped if you're Sporting. You escaped.
Joker State, Gonzalo Ignacio State, Gio Kenda State, Guinea Katamo State. All the key elements stay in the club and they're not going anywhere. Therefore, we're going to win the league. That's it. That's just like no doubt about it. I had no doubt in my mind that Sporting will win the Liga Portugal. And tomorrow is going to be a fantastic clash with the two new coaches, Rui Borges for Sporting, and Martin Anselmi taking Porto on his first Clásico in Portugal. So he came in and right away he got to play. In Europe he got to play against Sporting. It's yeah, fully loaded, brother. Fully loaded with the debut of Martin Anselmi. It's going to be a massive clash tomorrow. My boy Derek Gomez, which is a historian for Sporting, we were doing the podcast for Liga Portugal on Tuesday night, and he said this to me. You know how many times Ruben Amorim went to Dragao and won? And they were like, oh, wait a second. Zero. Zero.
If you
five trips to Dragao Stadium and no wins with Ruben Amorim. So what makes you think that you're going to win tomorrow? They will win, brother. They will win. They're going to win. Right. And that's just, even if they don't, even if they draw, all right, they're still going to keep the distance with the closest competitors, and they're not going to catch him. They're not going to catch Sporting. I know they're going to get close. It's going to be dramatic games, but right now, from the beginning of the year up until now, Porto and Benfica, they're slipped very badly, man. They just lost games that they shouldn't, and now with 4 losses and 3 losses in Portugal, the most losses that you can allow your team to win the championship is 3. The most.
Yeah.
If you are 3 and 4, you're not winning. You're just not winning the league. You're not winning the league because those losses come between the big 3, the big 4. You lose to Braga, you lose to Sporting, to Benfica, but you don't go out there and lose to Gil Vicente or Casapia or Moreirense like Porto and Benfica did. All right, so and Sporting, even if they were not, dominant in the last 3 games that they won 3 in a row, they managed a way to win those games that matter. Against rivals like Farense, rivals like Nacional, it's tough to beat them, but they got the job done. They got the job done at the end. They got the 3 points. It's nothing spectacular now about Sporting. But in those games, rough games, tricky games, 3 points for me, baby. Next.
Well, juice boxes. Please tell me you're calling that match tomorrow.
Yes, sir, I am.
Okay. Juice boxes in this one. Porto, and these have slightly changed while even we've been on the air. Porto in the composite is a plus 170. The draw is a plus 219. And Sporting to win on the road is a road favorite, slightly, but a road favorite at a plus 162.
I'll take Sporting.
Okay.
I'll take Sporting. Well, late goal.
Okay. Because right now, and you mentioned the standings, and so let me get into the standings really quickly. As you mentioned, Sporting right now, 6 points clear of Benfica. Sporting unbeaten in their last 5. They've won 4 of their last 5. Benfica has lost 3 of their last 5. Eesh. And Porto is at 42 points. And Porto's been all over the place in their last 5. 2 draws, 2 losses, and a win. Yeah. Braga has apparently found it. They've won 4 in a row. And they're up to 40 points. And so they're a part of the chaos, too. So right now, Sporting 6 points clear. And they get a win. They get to distance themselves that much further. What other matches do you get to call this weekend over at Gold TV? Have they given you your assignments, sir?
Yeah, I got them. It's a big weekend because we got Porto Sporting tomorrow.
Yep.
Right. And we got on Sunday, we got the Clásico Nacional Peñarol.
Okay.
Again, Nacional beat the Peñarol in the first 2 Clásicos of the year. So in Peñarol, they're ready. They're ready to take on the tricolor. Of course, we got the Benfica game too. We got the Braga game too. But those are the 2 matches that we got to keep an eye on.
Mm-hmm. Well, we got to keep an eye on every match that you're calling. I mean, that's just the way that it goes. We got to keep an eye on it. So, all right. So let me give you your juice boxes in Uruguay. and lay it all out for you there, because we believe in an informed audience, and we believe also in informed friends. So let's see, where are my juice boxes here?
Thanks to Leo that he said about the Fluminense thing. Thank you, Leo.
Nacional is favored at home at a plus 152. Draw is a plus 204. Peñarol on the road is a slight dog at a plus 179. And the standings right now, I mean, you're just your first match out of the block. So Peñarol, they were one of the 4 that won at the beginning of things. So everything's just kicking back in anew in the standings in the Liga AUF in Uruguay. But Peñarol, a dog on the road at Nacional at 5:30 Eastern time on Sunday. So that one's going to be a fun one.
Absolutely, man. It's going to be a fantastic game, a fantastic clash always in the Uruguayan top flight division. And I really thought that Peñarol was going to keep rolling, right? Because they keep most of the roster. They get to keep their superstar Leo Fernandez. They paid $7 million, man. $7 million for Leo Fernandez to stay in Peñarol. The last year they got him alone for 6 months. I mean, they won the Apertura. They won everything with Leo. And then in halfway the season, Nacho Rubio had to go to Mexico and make an adjustment. So we're not on Rangers. Hey, can I keep it for 6 more months, please? All right, pay, please. Yes, all right. How much you want? Boom, pay. All right, stay. But at the end of the year, we want to keep it. You want to keep it, you got to pay. You got to pay the full price. No loans anymore. You want him, I get it to you for $7 million. That's it. Boom.
2 more topics here for Fully Loaded as we cover the planet. This and every other planet when you come in on Thursday and you come in hot, and we love it. Before the Peruvian League, and like I said, I don't look at these topics. I just sit there and I look at them and then I read them and we go. Before the Peruvian League, we had one last delicious episode with Universitario and Belgrano. Please explain, sir.
All right. It's so funny, man.
He's already laughing. He hadn't told the story. He's already laughing.
Right. So Belgrano, the Argentina Super League, the summer transfer window closed on last Friday.
Mm-hmm.
So Belgrano sent an offer for Rodrigo Ureña, which is our center mid, Thursday night around 10 p.m. because they wanted to get the guy and they needed to put the offer in place before the deadline. So Universitario said, oh, well, okay, let me check it out. All right, we're gonna double your salary. We're gonna pay the release clause and we're gonna double your salary. Okay, if you say that, because they were saying, all right, we're gonna pay the release clause. And they were like, okay, yeah, $600K. All right, what else? What else is in there for me? All right, we're gonna double your salary. All right, deal. So Rodrigo flew to Cordoba Saturday night, gets in Cordoba on Sunday, goes to the stadium and watch his almost new team, get trashed, destroyed, 4-0 at home. Ridiculous. All right, anyway, Monday morning, get the physicals, the medicals, he passed everything, everything's good. Goes to the offices, and they're showing the contract, and I'm like, oh, hold on a second. Do you pay the money? Do you pay the fee? No, we haven't. We're gonna get that. We're gonna get there. We're gonna send the wire. Oh. All right. Okay. Send the wire. Let me know. I'm sitting here. I'm waiting for you for your confirmation. So Universitario, we didn't get the money. Wait a second. What do you mean you didn't get the money? Oh, I'm sorry. My bad. And then Universitario sends the confirmation because they have to send a confirmation from their bank for the money to get wired to Peru.
Yeah.
And 10 a.m., 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4 p.m. At Rodrigo Ureña. Thank you, guys. Gotta go. You're not paying. I'm not staying.
Wow.
Oh, he took a flight back. He got back to Universitario Deportes. But then the vice president of Belgrano saying, hey, you know what? we were gonna get you the money, but because of the time that the confirmation arrived, and it was gonna be the next day, but you didn't give us a chance to wait for the next day for the transfer. Like, come on, brother, really? And then when Universitario came up with an official notice, put it on Twitter everywhere. We got our player back because the money never landed into our accounts. They're promising something, and the contract was saying something different. And then Jesus, and then Belgrano came up with another comunicado. It's like, no, but we were gonna pay, but didn't. No.
Oh.
Thank you, Belgrano Cordoba, for trying to get our player back. No, we got our boy back, and unfortunately, he's not gonna play in the first round of the Liga Uno because he came after the. He was not signed in the list of players that can play in the first round, but he's gonna play the second round. So, but he's back. Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
Hey, just sign here. Just sign. We won't get you the money, but sign the contract first. No, brother, no.
We'll get it for you.
We'll get it done. Jesus.
And I know that there was one thing that you also wanted to discuss before we left, and it was it is a very sad anniversary today, but an anniversary in the sport nonetheless. And the one thing that gets me is I can't believe it's been 67 years. 67 years involving the plane crash at Manchester United in Munich. 1958. Wild.
Yeah, man. It's sad and it's crazy, right? Destiny, right? Destiny wanted Bobby Charlton to survive that plane crash, so he could lead his country to his first and only World Cup in England. But I don't know if the people knows about this, but the goalie of that team was one of the what's his name here, Harry Gregg. He was one of the survivors, but he was the one who rescued Bobby Charlton from the plane crash. And among other players, but he rescued Bobby, and Bobby always been thankful for saving his life. But yeah, it's a sad anniversary, man. But it's part of the history of the team. I'm being a fan of this team since 1992,
Yep.
Class of '92. That's when I fell in love with Man United, with Bex, with Giggs, with all the boys, Cantona.
Do not cross Cantona. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, don't you dare, brother. No.
All right. So your broadcast plans, you got them all squared away. What else do we need to know about?
We're all good, brother. We are. We're waiting for maybe more games. We're gonna maybe get more games from the Liga Uno. Right now, we get only the Universitario Deportes home games and Sport Boys, but we might get a couple more teams on board. So we might get more games from the Liga Uno in Peru and for Gold TV. I'm excited about it, bro.
Yeah, and Tuga Tuesdays as well. For those that don't know about that, folks can dial that up as well. My friend, it is always great to see you. Great to catch up with you and go around the world in 30 minutes and go fully loaded with everything that is on your mind that we all need to know about. Sometimes, because we're focused on things domestically, we lose track of what goes on internationally, and that is why we have you on here every Thursday to talk about all the important things that are on your mind. Love you very much, my friend, and we will catch up with you again same time next week. And we'll do it all over again for another go-around of Fully Loaded. Love you, brother.
I love you, brother. Thank you for having me.
All right. And that's Nino. And so, like I said, it's always great to have, man, listen to that. Like, I mean, honestly, and this is honest. Literally, when I was just wrapping up my conversation with Nino, I got goosebumps. And I'm not lying. I'm too old and it takes too much effort. To be able to literally on a show like today, and this is why, to me, doing this is always fun, that we can go and discuss everything from Lucho Acosta to Open Cup to CONCACAF to dial up a friend of ours who knows about Major League Soccer because of his time in Ohio. But right now, when we can dial up Lima, Peru, we can just sit there and go, hey, we need you to come and talk in about everything going on that is in your world that we need to know about. We can widen our thought patterns and have a source and a force that our buddy Nino Torres is. And he also drinks smoothies on the air and reminds me that I need to watch my weight. So it is a well-rounded conversation. It's about health, wealth, welfare, and what we need to know about going on around the world of soccer. And we get to do it in 30 minutes every single Thursday with our buddy Nino Torres. And I'm blessed to have been introduced to him. And we are incredibly fortunate to have him here. So, like I said, nothing but love for our buddy Nino every single week. And biggest thing is just enjoy, have fun, be safe, and catch him on Gold TV. I know this sounds like a promo, but I mean this in the genuine sense. That I talk about forces in sports and forces in our lives and things like that. And I know that I'm probably getting a little philosophical here, but there are reasons that folks are put into our orbits. And to be able to, over time, like I said, I watched Gold TV ahead of time. And when I would be watching games that Nino would be doing play-by-play, I'd be like, man, this dude's dialed up different. It's hilarious, and I love it. He's dialed up different. And to have different voices in the game to express their love of the game the way that he does, the way that our favorite announcers do. That's why I like to widen our horizons when we can have opportunities like this and find out what else is going on, because it ain't just about what's going on in the contiguous 48. And so when we get the chance to catch up with Nino Damas on a weekly basis, it is nothing but love and admiration. And I know that the boss probably is looking at him from the back sofa, sitting there going, man, all you do is talk. All you're doing is talking. I'm trying to sleep here on this sofa, and all you're doing is talking. That's all the boss does in his place in Lima every single week. I swear to God, every single time that we dial up where the boss is and Nino picks up the camera, boss is just flaked out. He's done. He's just done. He's done. He's on the sofa. He's like, bruh, you talk. I'm sleeping. We're good. That's our buddy Nino Torres as always. Love as always, my friend. And we will catch up with you next week. All right. So now we go from, and this is the other part about Thursday that's cool. We go from SDH HQ to Lima, Peru to Seattle. How many shows can go from Lima to Seattle in the flip of a switch? This one can and does every Thursday. Time to bring in our buddy Niko Moreno. And you're not wearing a hat. What's going on, man?
No hat, my man. No hat. Just got a haircut yesterday. I was trying to, get the hair right. But, man, we're just back, man. And, of course, there's no other show that can do what you do, John. No other show can do what you do, going from Lima all the way out here in the Pacific Northwest for some Seattle Sounders and Western Conference information, my guy. But happy Thursday. This is cup number 1, actually, of coffee, believe it or not.
Okay.
I just got a nice little cold shower, got ready to go, got my coffee on, and now I'm ready for some questions by my man, John.
All right. So first and foremost, how was the surprise birthday party last week?
It was great, man. It was all around exciting. It was an emotional day. For those who don't know, I had my oldest when I was 18. Now he's turning 18. So it's kind of a full circle thing there. My parents showed up. We had some pancakes and eggs and everything he likes. So it was a good time. It was a good weekend overall as well. He's getting kind of a whole couple of weeks of celebrating, because we're also going to do a little something with him during the Super Bowl halftime, or after the halftime, I guess, because after the show, I guess. So we're going to do a little something for him as well there, just so he can celebrate with some friends. But yeah, man, overall, it was a good Thursday celebration last week.
And when you're surprised by family you go with what the family does when they surprise you first thing in the morning. That is mandatory. That's how this rolls. So you got to go in that direction. And a happy 18th across the board from all of us here on this side of the planet. I want to, as always, get into what's going on in the Pacific perspective when it comes to Major League Soccer. I want to start a little south of you and start in Los Angeles with what's going on at LAG. Because last week, and this is the first time we've had the chance to talk about it, the new rule, which was a long time coming, about being able to trade and buy inside Major League Soccer, you're starting to see these kinds of transactions. I want to talk about Jack McGlynn in Houston and Philly coming up in a second. But the Bishop, Dejan Joveljic, gets sold to Sporting Kansas City for $4. Good piece of business by LAG. Then LAG, it looks like they're going to be adding Christian Ramirez from Columbus. And we'll talk about Columbus in a second. So CRAM looks like he's going from Columbus for a lot less money to LAG as the Bishop Joveljic goes to Sporting for $4. LAG is in an interesting spot right now because, okay, you've got your Joveljic replacement. I don't know if CRAM can match those numbers, although they're hoping, I guess, he can get close. But LAG now is very, very interesting because Ramirez supposedly coming in. You still don't have Ricky Puig for a substantial amount of time. I am intrigued to see how LAG solves this problem.
Yeah, I mean, it was a problem mainly because of the salary cap, right? I mean, they wanted to do right by the player. The player wanted more money, deserved more money. And just the way the salary cap currently works, there was no way that the LA Galaxy were going to be able to keep Joveljic. So they do good business, in my opinion. And I think it's a win-win because Sporting Kansas City needed a 9 of this caliber, and I am probably higher on Joveljic than most. I think that he will make Sporting Kansas City his team. He's finally the face of that attack, right? He was always the additional piece behind Javier Hernandez, in the mix of being around Peck and Pook and Royce. And, he was never the guy necessarily, regardless of how good he was and regardless of him being the one that puts the final dagger into the Sounders and eventually puts his team out in the MLS final and eventually into a championship. So I think that Joveljic is very capable, and I think many are going to be surprised of how good he will be with Sporting Kansas City. So it goes well for both. Sporting Kansas City gets a guy that they needed in a position of need, and LA Galaxy, because of the demands and because what they had to do, get rid of somebody. And later down the week, or a little bit over a week, we find out about the Christian Ramirez situation. Christian Ramirez, he is not your every game franchise type of striker, but he's a double-digit striker without a doubt. He's 33, he's experienced, he's intelligent, he is poised in front of goal, he's good on aerial duels. I think that LAG are doing good business once again by bringing in a guy like Superman, and he's a guy that's used to not being the guy. He's used to being the guy that is also behind somebody else. So he's going to go in there and just try to produce. This is probably one of the best situations he's been in, with the exception of course, last year with Rossi and Cucho next to him. So he's going to get a ton of service. He's going to get a ton of opportunities in front of goal. And I think eventually and essentially he will be a guy that's going to produce for LA Galaxy. Again, I don't think he's going to be the every game guy. And I think they will be other players coming into the Galaxy team's formation that could eventually rotate that position. But I think Christian Ramirez going there was smart for the LA Galaxy. Columbus is a bit of a head scratcher. You talked about him. I'm not really sure what's going on down there. For the life of me, I can understand that you want to do right by players and you want to cash in on a guy like Cucho for 16 mil, and you're making a profit, yada yada yada. But man, Jaboa gone, him gone, Hinestrosa gone. I mean, that's a lot of main key players for your club that now you're gonna have to replace. I don't think it's a full-on rebuild down there, but it's definitely a full-on remodel. I mean, they're taking the kitchen and the 2 bathrooms downstairs and they're trying to fix that whole thing up. So definitely substantial, definitely something that's going to be not easy to do, because you don't find Cucho Hernandez signings on trees, and you don't find guys like Hinestrosa either in those sort of situations. So I think Columbus is in for a rough start. Obviously, you have a guy like Wilfred Nancy, where that he's used to working with not the most incredible rosters, and he still has a soccer module. He's intelligent. He has obviously pieces to work with in Rossi and other guys that are still part of that Columbus crew team. But a lot of question marks all around when it comes to top teams in the league, specifically in the Western Conference, of course. But there is that sense of MLS in 2025. It's been crazy. It's been amazing in the offseason, but that usually makes for some unpredictability, at least for the start of the season.
And, I think you're right. I think that Columbus is turning the basement of the house into a mother-in-law suite, and it's going to be interesting to see how they do this and have to do it on the fly, because if you were looking at deadlines, you can still do business with South America for the next 5 weeks or so, depending on the country and depending on the league. But you can't do anything in Europe except for like maybe Turkey and things would have a couple of deadlines that are extended. So Columbus is going to be in a very, very interesting place. Philadelphia, for me, is also in an interesting place, but probably not for the right reason. McGlynn goes to Houston, another one of these deals where the league is finally letting folks get sold inside the league for money and not Garber bucks. 2.1 initially from Houston for McGlynn. Bonuses and metrics can add another 1.4 to the whole thing, and then you get 50. Then you get 50% of a sell-on, but you're not getting the full 50%, because initially 60% went to you and 40% went to the other 2 teams in New York City area, because you violated the dibs zone in getting McGlynn. You went past the invisible fence in your yard, and you got McGlynn. And so now 40% of any sell-on goes to the 2 in New York area clubs. You get 50%. So you might get $1 million out of 5 or $1 million out of 10. I mean, it's a really screwy situation involving McGlynn. But Philly now, I want to know what they do with this money. Are they going to just continue to be grinders and go, we're just going to have guys that are going to be tough, and we're going to be, grinding things out, because that's Philly and that's who we are. And we're going to take our young talent, we're going to sell them on. And then I don't know what you're doing with that money that you're bringing in. I know that you're building infrastructure and things like that, but are you really doing things to benefit the product on the field? So the sale for me from McGlynn presents another interesting question out of Philly. What are you doing with it? How do you replace him? And what are you doing come 25?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's one that's difficult to answer, because if it was hard to predict when it was Curtin managing things, now it's even more unpredictable, because you got a guy like Cornell that, how much power does he really have at this point? How much influence can he have with the use of those funds? Is it going to be Philly just keeping that money and continue to just inject their academy system and the youth program and get guys here and there that are serviceable? And how much heat is there really in that front office to get somewhere? Because to me, it feels like the expectations dropped with Philadelphia, right? I mean, they were high with Curtin on the bench, but now with a whole new system, with guys gone, with McGlynn gone, a guy that's as good as he had been. I mean, he was one of my favorite guys to see of the young guys. Now he ends up going to Houston. So for me, Philadelphia just has a lot of room to say, hey, look, we're in a whole new place. We are trying to make things happen, and we have a whole bunch of outbound guys. We haven't really brought in anybody necessarily that can replace those positions, and we're going to go off of being a collective unit the same way Cornell did in St. Louis. So it's just very hard for me to say what and where that money's going to go to and how it's going to be spent. But whatever happens from here until the end of the transfer window in the winter right now will tell you what has been said to Cornell and this team. Whether we're just going to take it easy, we're going to let you ease your way in, we're going to give you 3 years to build us into something that's going to be okay, or we need to win now, because that's the way I feel like they should approach this. This fan base doesn't deserve to have 3 years of waiting when they were Gareth Bale header away from winning the championship a couple of years back. So it just seems like you are backstepping, or you're trending in the wrong direction when it comes to Philadelphia.
And it's going to be, I think it's going to be something Red Bullsian, because that's where Cornell came from. It was kind of Red Bull's light when he was at all caps.
Yeah.
And then they freaked out when they had a bad start in year 2. It's like, second time through the batting order. Oh, no, they figured out our pitcher. And so you get rid of Cornell, and you see what happens in the offseason. So for Philly, I am right now, like I said, I'm intrigued to see how this works. Ernst Tanner believes in it. So you bring in a guy like Bradley Cornell, and it's just going to be roar, and we're going to personify the city and all these kinds of things.
Yeah, but you look at that roster, and it's just hard to see. And then when it comes to Houston, man, they themselves are also switching up a lot of players, right? Coco Carrasquilla now in Mexico, Hector Herrera out the door. Now you bring McGlenn. You got a couple of pieces down there that are going to be interesting to see. But, man, Houston's also another team that, like I said, especially in the Western Conference, to me, I guess because I'm on this side, when I look at those top teams, RSL, LA Galaxy, LAFC, man, there's a lot of turnover, and there's a lot of switching and moving and going. LAFC lost Ilie, lost Murillo, lost Bogic. I mean, they lost so much prime talent, so many contributors, so many goals, so much defensive responsibility, so much experience. It's anybody's game, and hopefully we'll talk about the Sounders here because they went the other way on you. They maybe did a little bit less, but they kept continuity. They kept a lot of the guys. They have a better gauge on where this team is going to be to start off the season than maybe any of the other top teams in the West.
All right, since you opened that door, let's go through that door as you take a sip from your cup number 1 out of the Rave Green mug. They did not take you with them to Spain, which was disappointing, because I was looking forward to the live shots from Marbella with you at like 3:30 in the afternoon at a hotel, kind of kicking back and going, "Yo, look at me, see where I am." You mentioned continuity, and right now, and I mean, you add to continuity in a different way. You bring back Kim Ki-hee, who knows what the system is like. So you're bringing in familiar faces in addition to keeping who you have. And you made the big deal in the offseason. You made big deals in the offseason. Who am I kidding? Where you add to your experience in the midfield, you add to your scoring punch, and you're adding to a nucleus that has been there for a while. I mean, you have, senior roster spots. It's Areola, Atencio, Bell, Leo Chu, Ferreira, Fry, Yamar Gomez-Andrade, Danny Leyva, Georgie Manungu, JP, Jordan Morris, Masofsky, Reagan, both roll-ons, Rusnak, Nuhu, Obed Vargas, who's getting interest, and we can talk about that in a sec, and then PDV. You've got 4 homegrowns as part of your supplementals. Then you've got international roster spots attached to Manungu and PDV. DP right now, Areola, U22s, Josh Atencio, and Leo Chu. So you got all of the Seattle influence and everybody that's been there for a while. You add pieces like Areola and Jesus Ferreira. You mentioned the why. I think it is going to be the Wild West this year with the changes with the 3 teams that finished above Seattle in the regular season standings. You have stability, then you add firepower and experience in the midfield. How is it integrating from what you've been able to discern so far here in training camp?
It's been a smooth transition and adaptation to all new components, including a lot of the young guys that you mentioned already. Everything I've heard from Marbella Spain camp, which came to an end yesterday after a 2-2 draw with Hammarby in their second preseason game of the day, because they had an early game before that. But man, it's been good vibes overall. It seems like Paul Arriola and Ferreira have been a good fit for the squad in general, and to me that's a big deal. The competition level is high. When I look at the overall adjustments and addition of concepts for this Sounder teams, there's one prevailing message, and is we're going to be aggressive. We're going to be aggressive in our press. We're going to play with a high line in every single preseason game that they had in Spain. It was a 3-man back line. Sometimes it's a 3-5-2. Sometimes it's a 3-4-3. There's variations of what they did in certain parts of certain games, but you think that with 3-man back line, they were going to be a little bit more direct and they weren't going to be as aggressive, but it's the opposite, man. They've been a possession-based team. They've been very good at transition moments and the aggressiveness of the press. Yesterday against Hammarby, they get their first goal out of a high press situation. The second goal, there's also some influence of it. They do get caught at the end of this game by the moments when you are committing so many numbers forward to press and the press doesn't get there, and couple of passes you're trying to recorrect and you're trying to get a foot race to get to guys that are behind a whole bunch of other players that you were committing forward, and they get caught up. But overall, man, it's aggressive, and I like that. It's aggressive in terms of the offensive as well. We're going to overload one side. We're going to switch it. We're going to have guys crash in the box. We're going to have Ferreira and Albert playing as 2 creative midfielders behind Jordan Morris. So there's a lot of freedom. There's a lot of movement. We're going to get a lot of width out of our wing backs. We're going to trust that Christian Roldan and Obed Vargas as the double pivot always in are going to handle moments of transition defense, and that they're going to be able to get forward. So overall, man, I'm excited about what this Seattle team could look like with some of these new adjustments and the aggressiveness of it. Can it be dangerous? Am I a little concerned that you having the best defense on the league per se got you to a Western Conference final last year, and now if you gamble a little too much with that high line pressing as high as you are doing it right now, can that result in a couple of bad goals and maybe some instability defensively? Maybe, but I think that the team can correct it, and if they can perfect it, they're going to be a difficult team to beat. Not to mention that Brand Smetzer is not afraid of going back to his standard save 4-2-3-1 and working from there. So I just like what I've seen so far out of Marbella. A couple of standouts. Pedro de la Vega's been lights out, engaged, consistent, understands the system. Unfortunately for him, I think this formation does make him the odd man out. He wasn't part of what I would call the starting lineup yesterday in that second game of the day in preseason in Marbella, but he's looked fantastic. Love what I'm seeing out of Obed Vargas so far. Jesus Ferreira, man, he very versatile, very free, very open. Yesterday he put a couple of balls into Jordan Morris that they're spot on. They're where they're supposed to be. Jordan isn't able to finish in those, but I think he was been incredible. On the defensive end, Kalina is a guy that does not have a contract with the Sounders, but as a wing back, he's been very, very good. I have asked Brian about him. He continues to praise this kid. I think he is a player that could potentially earn an early contract with the Sounders, especially knowing that Reed Baker Whiten had a hamstring injury. Brian Smetzer said that he felt that pop, the kid did, the player. So we'll see what happens with that hamstring, something to look at. But because of that, I think Kalina can really get himself into a situation where he has a contract next season. Jordan Morris has looked good as well. So overall, man, it's good vibes from the Sounders. There was one other bad news yesterday that I don't want to overlook here. Albert Rusnak did go down in the 27th minute, I believe, of the first half of that game yesterday. You can hear Brian Spencer telling him to go down. I went back, looked at the tape. He seemed like he might have pulled something. He's trying to play through it. He's given the sideline all kinds of signs, and eventually he just goes down. So hopefully that's not incredibly long for a player that's going to be important for this team. But to me, man, I feel like there is a better outlook into this squad, this strategy, and these players than there was last year, and that alone is very encouraging. And I think it's going to be. I think it puts Seattle in a position to be one of the more almost written in Sharpie to be on top of the West. And I'll say it like that. I mean, quite honestly, I think that the Sounders' floor is so high that they will be in the top 6 slots in the Western Conference very early on.
Then, in a perfect world, all things being equal, Albert Rusnak's not going down taken into consideration. Give me your starting 11.
Ooh, I like that. My starting 11 would be in a 4-2-3-1.
Okay.
Me personally. So I would go Steph, Nuhu, Reagan, Yamar, Alex, Christian Roldan, Ovid Vargas. The 3-band on top of the holding mids would be on the right. Ferreira. Oh, no, hold on. On the right, Pedro de la Vega. In the middle, Albert Rusnak. On the left, Jordan Morris. And up top, Ferreira. That's the way I would set it up. That's my favorite 11. I don't think that's what we're going to see. They've been very focused on that 3-man backline, especially when their first game is in Antigua, obviously playing the Guatemalan team. So I think that they will go back to it. And that lineup, the only change there is that you pull Pedro de la Vega out of there, and then you add a center back or a wing back per se. So I think that Arriola starts on the left, and he's the guy that comes in for Pedro de la Vega, and then you just set it up with Nuhu, Yamar, and Jackson in the 3-man backline, and then everything else just kind of fits almost the same with Jordan Morris up top and Albert Rusnak and Jesus Ferreira working as a double creative midfield there. So obviously a team that you can almost be sure that you know what the 11 are going to be, with one exception depending on what the formation is and the approach for Brian Smetzer is in a couple of games starting the season.
All right. So what are you anticipating going on in the next week before we reconvene with another cup of coffee and another Thursday morning? What's going to be going on in Seattle between the time that the plane comes back from Marbella and you get to go back to the Children's and Swedish Playhouse and find out what's going on over there?
I believe, I don't have the calendar in front of me, but I'm pretty sure that Louisville, they will face Louisville in their last preseason game of the season. That's going to be in the Sounders facility. Not sure just yet if it's going to be open to media, but I hope it is. They will be back. We're hoping to hear from Brian about injuries to Albert and Reed. I do expect one signing out of those guys that have been very interesting in Spain, the younger guys. Bernal, Sebastian Gomez, and Kalina. Those are the three that I'm looking at to essentially get a spot. Don't look at a big signing till the summer. I think that the U22 will be used in the summer window, in my opinion. But that's kind of what I foresee adding on here in Seattle before our next Thursday morning, of course.
All right. So what else is going on with you right now at El Rolo NW on the 280 character app?
Yeah, man, exciting. I told you guys that I was going to be doing a weekly Friday show with Jeremiah Shan from Sounder Hard. We're going to be podcasting every single week about the entire week of training, the game ahead, any news, anything that kind of builds up and we hear in the walls or in the hallways of the performance center, of course. So that's going to be cool. Check that out. And then on Mondays, we're going to be doing something with Ari Lalawal and Lovin Scorchers. So on Monday mornings, I think that's what the calendar says right now, is that we're going to go Monday mornings and we're going to be talking about the entire league. Obviously focused on the Seattle Sounders, but we're going to also expand on to the week that was, a couple of news items, maybe the teams that are more exciting in the Western Conference, like LAFC, LAG, the Timbers, of course, because they are the arch rivals here down south. So going to be interesting how that plays out. So that's kind of what we have in mind that's set in stone so far for me coming up.
Looking forward to it as always, my friend. Great to see you and glad the birthday went well. And I know that the birthday, it's going to turn into a birthday month. I'm going to tell you right now. So just be prepared for all of that. We will catch up with you again next week for the last half hour of the normal 2 hours here on SDH AM. Thanks as always, my friend. Love you very much. And we'll see you next week.
Thank you, John. I'll be here, man. I really appreciate it, man.
All right, there goes Niko. And so now we go through Juice Box's news of the morning and anything else that drops by. And like I said, it's always great that we can go from Atlanta to Lima to Seattle on a Thursday. That's the fun part. Tonight, CONCACAF Champions Cup, the Triple C, the CONCACAF Hemispheric Extravaganza has 2 games, one at 8, one at 10. Cibao is hosting Chivas. Chivas is a big favorite, no surprise, at a minus 556. By the way, if you really have juice boxes in the back of the fridge that might be stinking up the joint, Cibao was a plus 1450 in the composite, courtesy of our friends at Odds Portal. Not as large a margin for Cavalry and Pumas, which is at 10 o'clock. Pumas on the road north of the border, minus 179. Cavalry is a plus 388. So those are the 2 matches today in the CONCACAF Hemispheric Extravaganza. Remember, so far, Cruz Azul beat Real Hope out of Haiti in their first game in the Triple C. 2-0. Then Monterrey beat Forge 2-0 at a minus 227. And then we mentioned Real Esteli. By the way, they were a plus 291 last night in the composite, getting the win. But once again, they've got to go back to Tigres in the second leg, face a healthier Gignac, who did not make the trip. So Real Esteli got the 1-0 win last night. Big win for them in Nicaragua, but they're going to have to go in the return leg and face 90 minutes of hell. The 2 matches tonight in CONCACAF is where we are at 8 and 10. What to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it, and anything else that is going on. And thanks to all of you folks for dropping in as you always do. I do have a public service announcement before we get out of here. Remember once again, and this is not it. You got Liverpool and Spurs in the League Cup. That's this afternoon. Being an Espanol, Copa Libertadores is starting. Blooming. Got to ask Howard Hamilton about Blooming. Literally, that's the name it's on the TV grid. It's Blooming. Blooming and El Nacional's at 7:30 on being an Espanol. You can get them all at Fanatis. You can get all the BNs. You can get Nuestra Tele, CDO, For the Fans, Liga 1 Max, Liga 1 Max Pro, Teise, Gold TV, all in one place. fntz.co/soccer down here. FS2 has both of the matchups in the CONCACAF Hemispheric Extravaganza. They also have the French Cup matchup at 3 with Bourgogne-Jallieu. Remember, they knocked off Lyon in the previous round. I think we're in the round of 16, where Bourgogne-Jallieu is taking on Reims at 3 o'clock. Being simulcasting in Espanol for Copa Libertadores. Fox Deportes, the league that we neither condone, endorse, nor promote, has a matchup at noon. If you care, they're simulcasting the French Cup at 3, Liga MX Femenil at 10 o'clock, Juarez and Querétaro. Goal TV has the Dutch Cup at 2 o'clock. Nino will not be on the call for that one, as it's AZ Alkmaar and Quick Boys. Not young boys, but Quick Boys. So we have Blooming playing today. We have Quick Boys playing today. 2 different competitions, but nevertheless, Blooming and Quick Boys. And then the 2 to NA simulcasting CONCACAF tonight. Belgian Cup at 2:40 involving Royal Antwerp and Anderlecht. Copa del Rey doubleheader 1:30 and 3:20. Barca playing Valencia at 3:20. That's on ESPN Plus. Fox Soccer Plus has your simulcast of the league that we don't talk about. And League Cup is on Paramount Plus at 3 o'clock with Liverpool and Tottenham. Let's just go ahead and see if there is any gossip, rumor, or innuendo, considering that we're past the window of all of the all of the things that happened in the window in and of itself. So let's take a peek at the gossip and see if there actually is any gossip and how much gossip there actually is, considering that Europe's window's shut. All right, so here's what we got. Arsenal willing to break their own transfer record in the summer with a £100 million bid for Lautaro Martinez at Inter Milan. Because if you didn't spend the money in January, you want to spend it in the summer. RB Leipzig's Benjamin Šeško remains the number 9 Arsenal are most likely to sign in the summer. Unlikely to price him out of a move. RB Leipzig, that comes from Miguel Delaney and our friends at The Independent. Arsenal also held talks with AC Milan over Alvaro Morata before he joined Galatasaray on loan. Manchester City poised to rival Real Madrid for AC Milan's left-back Theo Hernandez if they miss out on Andrea Cambiaso from Juve. Napoli ended their interest in Garnacho because his wage demands were too high, according to our friend Fabrizio Romano. And this was interesting. I don't know if anybody's going to jump on it. The release clause in the contract of Harry Kane will decrease from £67 million to £54 million over the next year. So if anybody wants to bring Harry Kane back to England, they can do so. By all accounts, Harry Kane is very happy in Germany, but his release clause goes down 13 over 67, almost 20% year to year. Spurs would have to decide whether to match the bid or hope he prefers a return to North London. Enzo Maresca plans on using Andre Santos, currently on loan at Strasbourg, in his first team next season. Arsenal's looking to sign Joan Garcia from Espanyol, keeper. Do that in the summer. Chelsea failed in a late attempt to get to Matisse Tell from Bayern Munich on deadline day. Manchester United's Tiro Malacia could have joined Wolves on deadline day, but opted for PSV Eindhoven instead. I would have probably done the same thing. And Kieran Trippier is a target for Galatasaray because, remember, we were talking about windows being open. The Turkish window goes for another 5 days. So if you wanted to do business with the Turkish Super League, you could do so. Newcastle's Kieran Trippier is a target for Galatasaray. So keep an eye on all of that. That comes from the 4-letter. Now the public service announcement. And once again, thanks for your forbearance in these kinds of things. But this is kind of cool. Inter Atlanta FC, February 9th. So that is Sunday. Sunday from 4 to 6 o'clock. They're celebrating National Girls and Women in Sports Day. It's a free event at Inter Atlanta FC. You can go to their website, interatlantafc.com, and get more information. Celebrating National Women in Sports Day. But Sunday, 4 to 6, Inter Atlanta has a free event open to all, pickup soccer, free pizza, and a panel discussion with current college women athletes and exciting raffles for prizes. Great opportunity for young athletes to connect, play, and hear from inspiring women in sports. Be a part of the celebration. Go to the website, interatlantafc.com, and the story is there. Let me do this into the Twitch pitch to aid in the search. And we can figure it all out from there. So 1, 2, 3. There you go. That's the link. So Sunday afternoon, if you're in Inter Atlanta FC's footprint, if you're around from 4 to 6, go hang out and celebrate National Women and Girls in Sports Day, which is frankly every day. But they made a National Weather. And see, and the thing is, it's like you need to separate these kinds of things. National Weather Person's Day was the same day as National Women and Girls in Sports Day. So That's where. Well, and David wants to know why they do that right before Super Bowl kickoff. It gives you something to do before kickoff. You don't have to watch all the pregame shows and all the jibber jabber and all the talk. Go, and then go home in time for kickoff, because kickoff's going to be like at 6:25 anyway. So we'll see. But like I said, David, this is just what they planned. So Jillian has been there before. And so now that is a question for Inter Atlanta, that they planned it for Super Bowl Sunday. But go early. You don't have to watch the pregame shows, and then you get home for kickoff. So that's how I look at it anyway. So that's the link, interatlantafc.com. You can click on the article, and you can be a part of what's going on at Inter Atlanta on Super Bowl Sunday from 4 to 6. Get home in time to watch kickoff, and then you're okay to go. All right. So no worries, David. Absolutely no worries. Trying to think if there's anything else going on. There's a lot of like news and things. News in the leagues. Lexington Sporting Club is now adding a USL League 2 team. So they're adding to Super League, Championship, W League. They're going to Chris Lefevre, the academy director, had quotes this morning. They're going to be in the Valley Division and play at the Lex SC Athletic Complex, but they're adding USL League 2 to the mix. So they're hosting first round in the Leagues Cup, and they're adding USL League 2. So very cool stuff for our friends up in Lexington at Lex SC. I'm trying to see if there's anything else that is out and about this morning. Let's see. Hang on. I know this is where I'm kind of looking for news, and I'm trying to think is like, what did I have marked down? Most of the time I had marked down things that are that we've already talked about. So we'll see what's going on. Let's see. Is there anything? You've got crew training. You've got cruise training, and I've got to knock out a bunch of emails from the overnight. So nothing going on in that particular email session. Let's see. The Washington Spirit had things going on. Let's see what's going on. Okay, so literally as of 14 minutes ago, we mentioned Alvaro Barreal. Cincinnati's loaned him to Santos. They extended the contract through 2026, loaned him through this year. So it is a year-long loan calendar-wise for Barreal to Santos. As a part of the deal, Santos has a purchase obligation on the loan if certain performance metrics are met. So Cincinnati signed Barreal to an extension through the 26 season, but have loaned him to Santos for the 2025 calendar year. Tim Parker has been signed to an MLS contract by Red Bulls, and it is through the 25 season with an option for 26. So Tim Parker comes back, featured for the Revs, all caps, Houston, Vancouver, and Red Bulls. 7 appearances with the Revs in 24. Prior to that, played 2 seasons with all caps. So Tim Parker returns to Red Bulls this morning. Also, Young Player of the Year in the USL Championship last year, finalist Ray Serrano, new multi-year deal with Lou City. 22-year-old deals pending league and federation approval. 13 goal contributions, played in every game last season for Lou City. Danny Cruz, obviously very happy about that. Minnesota has loaned defender Matusz Kmet to Górnik Zabrze of the Ekstraklasa of Poland's top flight. So Minnesota United has loaned defender Matusz Kmet to a club in the top flight in the Polish league. You've got the Coachella Valley Invitational going on right now, so keep an eye on all that with the teams that are going out on the left coast. San Diego acquired $175,000 in 2025 Garber Bucks from Messi and Friends in exchange for an international slot. So we'll keep an eye on who they are going to pick up and insert in that particular slot. Minnesota United and Ethan Bristow declared they went their separate ways yesterday as well. And if you keep an eye on Gray Broadcasting has been doing a lot of work in sports on their sub-channels. And what you can do if you go to your team that you're interested in watching, you can go to their website or their local Gray TV affiliate, and you can watch the games online, I think. At least through most Grays put a lot of their activity online with all of their channels. So keep an eye out. If you want to watch stuff from Coachella Valley, it should be readily available with the Coachella Valley Invitational. And you can keep an eye on the clubs out west, looking at what's going on with all of them. Now that Abby has me intrigued, I got to figure out what time the kickoff actually is in the Roman numeral Classic. Yep, listed at 6:30. Yep, 6:30. So, yep, 6:30. And so, like I said, go to the event for Inter Atlanta, get home, you watch the kickoff. You're there in plenty of time. You don't have to watch any of the pregame shows. So, once again, real quick, go to Chant, the app, download it. Go to the SDH section, $10 a year. You can become a Fanatico. You can help out our causes in the 2025, and in return, hopefully get discounts geared to what you might be needing in a particular situation. So Chant, download it, SDH, go, become a Fanatico, and you help out everything that we're trying to do to advance the game here in everything the network touches going forward. If you missed it, caught up with our friends at Oklahoma United FC as they're joining the NPSL. It was a really cool interview. And you can listen to that online. And don't forget to download the SDH. Go to your favorite podcatcher, set your notifications, and figure out when we got something else coming up. And you can download it there. Tomorrow, once again, Scott Wells, the head coach at Gardner Webb, is going to join us at 9:05. He's going to bat leadoff. We're catching him before practice. Yes, and we'll get into the boss here before we go. So Scott Wells from Gardner Webb is going to join us. We're going to talk about Gardner Webb. We're going to talk about Asheville City in the Open Cup. See if our friends from Beyond Goals Mentoring aren't globetrotting. We can catch up with them at 9:30. And then 10 o'clock, we'll get you ready for the weekend with everything that's going on all of our minds. The boss. I know that you have. I know that you've been asking for a lot of those that want to know. She is now in a smaller cast than the big wrap that she had. And looks like it's going to be another couple of weeks before they analyze it again. She went with stripes this time. She almost went with glitter on the cast, for those of you that follow on social media. It's less of a cast than it was. It's lighter. It's not as bulky. She can almost actually get things over and through the hem and the elastic line so she can wear some more clothing. She still can't wear everything, but it's still there. Plate and screws, and we're going to double check in another 2 weeks and see what's going on there. But don't walk up a wet wooden ramp that has leaves on it at dusk. Don't do that, because then you might break your wrist and be in a cast for like 10 weeks. Well, I mean, Abby, she just bonks me anyway. I mean, Abby says, so less pain for you when she bonks me. Yeah, it's a little more than just getting bonked. I mean, she could load that thing up, like Dusty Rhodes did. You load that thing up and just clock you with it. She might keep it. The last one, whenever that is, she may keep it, and she may just have it in the kitchen ready for me whenever. But no, she's navigating it better. Still swollen, still working it through, and she knows that she's going to have some physical therapy when that's all said and done. And it's going to be. I told her, I said, look, just start using tennis balls or racket balls and just start squeezing them and start using your mobility and doing those kinds of things. So that's what we got. Another couple of weeks. We're going to go back and get it looked at, and we'll see what happens with the boss going forward. But busy day across the front, and we'll see what's going on involving anything and everything. Remember, you've got Gummy Bear Cup this afternoon, CONCACAF tonight, players in discontent, and me talking to Sharpie about fixing their pens. So that's what we've done today. We have fixed the world's problems, and we've presented Theraputty. I didn't know Theraputty existed. So we'll look up Theraputty as well. All right. So back at it again, less than 22, and we will discuss everything on a Friday, and we'll get you ready for the weekend. Atlanta United still in Central Florida, and we'll see what happens there, what you're anticipating with everything going on this weekend. Remember, opening day is only 16 days away. Full house, Atlanta United, and taking on CF Montreal. It's going to be fun. We got 16 days to get there, and we'll be back at it again tomorrow on a Freestyle Friday in a little less than 22. Mucho platiel, play it safe, and since it is the end of the show, thanks to everybody who's watching. It means I get to do this. Back at it again tomorrow, 9:05.